On behalf of Construction Philosophy and IEI Kochi chapter, I would welcome all of you again to the session. Today's lecture is by engineer Anita Lukose. Anita Lukose is the first Indian lady and the first Indian civil engineer to receive a CVS certification. Mrs. Anita is also a guest faculty in value engineering at Christ University, where she takes an elective course in value engineering. Mrs. Anita Lukose is a recognized value engineering professional and a certified value specialist, CVS, certified by the Society of American Value Engineers, SAFE International, with over 3 decades of industrial exposure from design to implementation. Additionally, Mrs. Anita Lukose has completed a certified program in design thinking for innovation from the University of Virginia, USA. And she is a member of the SAFE International Certificate Board from 2015 to 2018. She was a member of the E06 subcommittee on building economics, which developed the ASTM standards for value engineering. Currently, she is a National Council member of INVEST and the secretary of the South Zone Council of Indian Value Engineering Society, which is called INVEST. Mrs. Anita Lukose, we are very much honored to have you here. I would welcome Mrs. Anita Lukose to give you the lecture. And also I would welcome all of you to the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Nebu. I'm really happy to be here. Always the sessions from construction philosophy is very engaging and enriching with good knowledge and great knowledge from the industry is being shared here. So I'm delighted to be here. And moreover, I am delighted to be here with a very enthusiastic group. And I thank Construction Philosophy for initiating this program. And it is my privilege to be here, in fact. Yeah. And welcome all to this session from my side also. And we'll try and make it an interactive session. And so maybe in between, to keep you awake, I try to ask you questions sometimes, but simple ones, yeah, for sure, yeah. Then Nebu, can I start sharing my screen? Yeah, so now today we will be just seeing some basics of value engineering, mostly the concept of what is value engineering. I'll also talk about the structure, how we will do value engineering, and some general details regarding the advantages of the society certification, just for if you are interested. And I'll also show you a case study. And yeah, so let's proceed with the session. This value methodology is having different processes which will actually help us to improve the value of this of the system that we are studying, in any system for that matter that we are studying. And it can be a project, it can be a product or a process. Even it can be used for the organization to take strategic decisions to improve on their general performance, not only in the technical aspect, in any different area of the organization we can use it. Then yeah, even for the strategy we can use it. Yeah. Here, let me explain the methodology in little bit. Yeah, it started in GE by a purchase engineer, then purchase engineer named Larry Miles. he was it was started during Second World War, and it started he was actually concerned about how GE was spending, and many a times he found unnecessary spending of resources, and so he started asking why in GE nobody is bothered about costing, and that thus he was transferred to the purchase department, and uh, that is how he became a purchase engineer. And it was during the Second World War where the resources were very in scarce, and they had the procurement, they had huge requirements. So at that time he said, if I am not getting the material, then I should get the function. So thus he started the thinking of functions. And after the World War, when things were normal, he was asked to share his thought on how he addressed this procurement scenario. And thus his thought process was captured as a methodology, and the value engineering value analysis started. Now it has a broader acceptance, and it is being used in many different industries, not only in technical field, maybe in the organization that as I said earlier, maybe it can be used in any aspect. If you can put a logic to that, you can do value engineering to that. So that is how maybe we can say. So this has a very broad application. And now, talking about the methodology, it is a systematic process defining and satisfying the functions of a project. So this is done by a multidisciplinary team. And when we are doing this, multidisciplinary means now the skill set from many different areas need to be brought to the table. So we have participants. The team is comprised of people from experts from different fields of the project who are knowledgeable and can contribute to the project. Will be there as a multidisciplinary team. Then it is focusing on the value improvement. Mostly we say here that it is for cost reduction. This is a methodology for cost reduction. Then that is not the aim of a value engineering study. When we all do that, what cost saving that we get is a byproduct of the study. That is what we can say, because we really look at all the functions and what all functions are required to be retained within the system. We will do that. And what all, sometimes the quality requirement or the system requirement, the project is not requiring that much of the function to be performed in such a manner, then only we will go and reduce it. Maybe many cases, you might have listened to Kashi sir when he was explaining how different functions were performing in different projects and how it is helping the project to have different value when many different alternatives are discussed for the project, no, or put forward for the project. It also, it is a stakeholder inclusive approach. All the stakeholders, internal and external, comes into discussion. Their requirements are taken as when they express their needs, wants, and desires, no, or there are some constraints for the projects. So such things are collected and put forward as functions. We identify them as functions, and then assign cost to, or how much of resources it has to be allocated, that such resources are allocated, and there is a specific process and procedure to do the to do this. So then what is value? The value is do you like to share your thought on what is value? What do you feel?
When you get optimum outcome from what we invest or input.
Yeah. So then in that case, you are thinking yourself as leading an organization, right? When you need a profit out of it. Okay. Yeah. So while using a product, what do you consider as value?
If it serves the purpose well.
Yeah, I think that will be a general explanation. A product should serve the people. Okay, so whoever product or process or project, whatever the system under study should serve the people. So that is what maybe we can say a thing of value will give service. So then in that case, value can come. We can give value to that in multiple different ways, right? Yeah. So if we take it like that, then in value engineering we use a ratio. Even though we take it as a ratio, we don't calculate value like that. It is just to give us guidance how we can improve value in a system. So in that case, this is the ratio that we use. Value is equal to function by resource. So what do you think? How we can improve value if it is function by resource? Come on, we all are engineers, and so.
Ma'am, if I can.
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, value is also a relative term. I mean, if I can say like that, because the infrastructure oblique the structure that we're building, it is coming into use for how many people and for what reason. So that will define the value. It may be a small structure, but then let's say it's a water tank, so it's got much more value. I mean, I'm just trying to give an example.
Now, what is said is very correct. I mean, value is very relative. It is different for different people. It is different. I mean, for you, for a single person also, it will differ according to the situation he is in. So that is why we see many different versions of a product. Correct. Maybe the pen I am taking and pen you are using are different. Why? Because we see value in different products. So the same way, if somebody design a house for a client, according to the client, it will be different. And for same if you are having a glass of water now, maybe you will drink it. It's so cold now. It's evening time. Yeah, okay. Maybe you will drink it. You will sometimes you will not also. But just imagine you are in a construction site in the scorching heat. Somebody gives you a glass of water. The value of that water is so much for you, right? It has an increased value in a different situation. So what you said is very correct, Himanshu. It is different for different people, and it will change for you as a single person. It can change in different situations. So that is what we identify. So then if we go with that product value, the cost and things like that, it is all, one glass of water, what is the cost? Or to build a house, what is the cost? So we will depart from that thinking, and now we will go with the function and understand what is the function cost. Okay. So then we will see multiple ways of getting things done. So that is the concept. We'll be coming to that. So here, when we say function, value is equal to function by resource. Yeah, how we can improve value? If you just see it as a numerator denominator.
Optimizing the resource such that the function.
No, I just took it as a ratio, so you can just say like, how can you increase a ratio by playing with numerator denominator?
Can I interrupt?
Resources. Maximum function with minimum resources.
Yeah, very good. By increasing function and decreasing resource. Yeah.
Or,
Yeah. Or
ma'am, it can be like following a process and completion with respect to the company standards with optimum resources utilization.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Here, this I'm just taking it as a numerator denominator situation. No, it will give you different, few different ways of how you can improve the value. Just the first one suggested was you can increase the function and reduce the cost. So that way the value will increase. Or you can keep the function same and reduce the cost. Or you can keep the cost same and increase function in multiple, many different ways like that. You will be able to increase the value. So what you can actually use this as is you can actually strategize your product how or the project accordingly. So what you are doing, you can strategize whether you want to, how you want to take it. If you have more resources, maybe you can increase your resource and increase function exponentially too. Okay. Or you have a problem with the resources. If you are reducing the resources, mostly we will say that it is a cost cutting scenario. But if you are judiciously doing it, and if you have I mean, you started a project, now you have a cash crunch with many different ways. Maybe the strategy we followed was not correct, or so you have to go for a budgeting. Then in that case, when we are doing a value engineering study, actually what we will be doing is that we will keep that function intact, and then we will see multiple ways of reducing that requirement of resources then on. Yeah.
Madam, can I interrupt?
Yeah, please.
See, what you are, I can understand from your talk is that you are making a project. I am taking project as an example, not like process and products. Let's take the case of a project. In that case, you are fixing the scope of that project, means boundaries of that project. In fact,
yes.
Then in that boundary, within that boundary or within that scope, you are trying to play with the functions and resources, right?
Exactly, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, as sir was suggesting, so this is it's all about function. Value engineering study is all about function analysis. So we need to. I mean, we all say that function analysis is the heart of value engineering, and value engineering is a value engineering study will not be complete without a function analysis. So, and function analysis is unique to value engineering. Okay, so then we need to know how to define a function. We have heard what function analysis can do to a project in the first and second days when Kashi sir was talking about it. So then how we define functions. So we define functions as an answer to the question, what does it do? Okay. So this is very basic to value engineering, and so I'll just take you to that learning. So and the answer we put it as a phrase of 2 words. Okay, an active verb and a measurable noun. So let's see. We'll just try and define functions for few products. Okay. Here I'm not taking you to a big technical one because I want you to experience how you define function for a product that you really know. Okay, how well we'll be able to understand that kind of a function. Okay, so I'm taking a very simple product. A pen. We all know pen. We are using it for a long time. So what is the function of a pen?
Of course, writing.
I told you the question. What is the question? What does it do? What does a pen do? It is not writing. Are you writing or are you writing or the pen is writing? You are writing, right? Pen
Yes.
cannot write. Writing means you have to write some alphabets, yeah, something like that. Okay, some content you have to write. So you are writing.
Pen is used as a tool. Pen is a tool to write.
Yeah. So you said what is a pen? I need an answer for what does a pen do? What does it do?
It provides ink for writing.
Yeah, it provides ink. Now I also told you that we will put it as an active verb and a measurable noun. Can you do that?
To record data.
Will a pen record data?
Ma'am, it helps to maintain a written document.
Not necessarily. How will you maintain it? When you file it only, it will maintain. I mean, maintain. It will help you to maintain a record. When you are writing, that is what when you use a pen, right? Okay. So when you are writing, what does the pen do?
It allows the ink to flow in a particular way in the lowest quantity to make your intent possible.
Sir, we need an answer with 2 words, right? 2 words.
Apply ink on surface.
Apply ink. Yeah, okay. So
a writing tool, a portable writing tool.
No, maybe I'll take apply ink.
Apply.
2 words, active verb and a measurable noun. Okay.
Image into paper.
So, do you buy a pen to apply ink? Correct. Do you buy a pen to apply ink?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. No, but then an ink filler also will apply ink, right?
Apply ink by in an efficient way so that we will be.
So, what do you want the pen to do for you?
To apply ink in efficient way such that we will be less stressed.
No, I want it in 2 words. I want it in 2 words.
Effectively.
No, I mean, I wanted to make it a little more faster. So, can you take yourself in a place when you are actually buying a pen? When you are buying a pen, what do? You will write and see what? You will scribble on a sheet. Sorry?
We'll scribble on a sheet and we check whether
see what? Check what? What are you checking?
Check whether it writes efficiently, ma'am.
No. What are you checking?
Signature.
Flow of ink.
Flow of ink. Okay. So
whether the grip of that pen is good or not.
No. When you are writing, what are you checking?
Ease of writing. Ease of writing.
No. When will you say that? When will you say, I will not buy this pen?
Controlled flow.
When will you say that you will not buy
Easy
this pen?
flow of ink.
Huh?
When it dries smoothly.
When it flows.
Ease of writing and elegance.
when will you say that you will not buy this pen?
If it is not efficient, not having proteins, not having smoothness, and a maximum price.
No. We will not buy the pen if you don't see a mark on the sheet, right? If you don't see anything on the sheet, if it is not making an ink mark on the sheet, you will not buy that pen. Correct. You put yourself in a in a situation, you are going for an exam. You want to buy a pen, and in this shop there is only one pen. Okay, so when will you say that that pen you will not buy? This is the last pen in the shop. Now you can't have any other pen, and that last pen, if you are not buying, at what time you will take this decision not to buy it?
If it does not give any purpose.
If it is not giving any purpose of making that mark on the sheet, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is what a pen, the function of a pen is to make mark. Okay. So we need to go to that kind of a level to understand actually what a product does for us. So, but maybe for when we know it, it is different when we know the product technically and when you actually feel the product. Your function, you need to understand to that kind of a situation. Then we can say that you know the product.
Can you explain the active verb and measurable noun here with respect to the pen?
Yeah, make mark.
Make mark is active
verb. Make mark.
Active. Okay.
Yeah.
Then what is the measurable noun?
Noun is mark.
So these mark is
two words. I told you 2 words. No. Two words. Make mark. Okay. Now we'll see some more. Now things will fall in place for you. Okay. Yeah. A bottle.
Fill water.
Liquid.
Store liquid.
Hold liquid.
Liquid storage.
Yeah.
Hold liquid.
Correct. Yeah. Contain fluid. Yeah. Now a car.
Move to a place.
I'll go slightly fast. Yeah. Okay. So
Transportation.
yeah, transport weight. Now
Transport fast.
Yeah, a car. Oh, sorry, a chair will
Supporting us.
It is not to sit. We identify a product because of its use.
Supporting ourselves.
Exactly. Support. Yeah. Ourselves means if you put it in a measurable noun, it is weight, right? Yeah. Then a bulb. What will a bulb do?
Provide light.
Illuminate.
Yeah.
Illuminate room.
Yeah. Provide is not an active verb. So illuminate.
Illuminate the space.
Yeah. Then a tap. A faucet. What will it do? Enable flow. Yeah. Okay. Control. Yeah. Okay. Now you got it right. Yeah. Okay. That's because I think when we understand pen to that level, no, that clarity now it helps us to identify functions. Okay. Now something little more dear to us. A wall. An exterior, okay, an internal wall. What does it do? Yeah, and an external wall.
Protects.
Yeah, okay. Protect inhabitants also. Maybe you can say exclude elements. Actually, it is doing. Yeah. What does an excavation do? It's a process, no? Excavation. What does excavation do?
Excavate matter.
That is what you do. That is a sub-activity. I mean, For excavating, you remove soil. But what is the function of it? What do you want to achieve?
Earth moving.
Make space for foundation.
Yeah. Create a space. It is a nice one. Create space. That's what you do, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now, a fence. What does it do?
Mark boundary.
Sorry? Mark. Separate space. I mean, yeah. Okay. Or actually, boundary is also nice. Mark boundary is also nice. Yeah, we were talking about this, and yeah, okay. Create space, and a fence we said separate space, or bypass. What is the function of a bypass? We tend to say, traffic, allow traffic or something like that. Yeah, but the thing is that, yeah, here, since all of you are muted, maybe I'll give you this one also. It is to
Cross
bypass
over an existing road.
Yeah, bypass an obstacle. That is what maybe we will go for, this kind of a general understanding, so as to have multiple creative ideas. Okay, so that is how it is. Maybe we can bypass vertically, bypass horizontally, so that this is giving us different options. Not only that, when you are performing this function, we'll also look at whether we are actually bypassing the obstacle. Here in we can see in some places, after a flyover is built, the traffic block is shifted from one place to the next place. In fact, it is not avoided totally. It's only shifted from one place to another. So such things we'll be able to identify all possible obstacle that is coming while constructing a bypass like this. We'll be able to look at it in that detail if we are actually going with function identification like this. Otherwise, we will have a target of making a flyover from A to B, and that's it. We make it, and later we will identify that after this full project is done and the traffic starts again, we identify that actually the flyover could have been somewhere else, and now the traffic is still more congested in a different place. So that is not something that we want. We don't want to shift the obstacle. We want to bypass the obstacle, and seeing that the bypass is fully done. Okay, so that kind of function analysis makes us clear, conveys to us what is it that we have to do with our project, and this helps us to proceed with a better project, better defined project, and even give suggestions when the project is coming to us. Maybe the design aspects, some of the design aspect, they may not be thought about in proper manner to the required in-depth analysis. Maybe it is not there, or some observations might have missed out. So, but a function analysis and a thorough thinking likewise can help us now overcome such gaps in our understanding. So this I have taken from a book written by Mutaya Kashi sir. So what is this function helping us? So this is what even the first two sessions of value engineering also, sir was talking about function as a communication tool. So it aligns the understanding of the participants. So here, for your understanding on functions, I mean, that is what I am aiming at from today's session, to make you understand a little more about functions and the importance of analyzing functions. So here, group of two groups of functions are given, group A and B. See, just could you analyze by yourself that what is the function expression communicating to you, which will be better defining the functions of a computer. Automate data versus aid automation. Store data versus facilitate storage. Retrieve data or follow instruction. Design structure, respond commands.
Group B.
Group B, right?
Group B.
Yeah.
Group B.
Yeah. So computer will not design a structure. It will only respond to our commands. Correct. And everything, I mean, everything, all the functions are self-explanatory for that matter. So here the onus is on designing the structure, the onus is on the computer. But here when you take a computer is only responding to the commands. The designing is done by us, right? So that is how the proper definition of function will help us to focus on the right area and right kind of activity and creativity can happen because of the good definition of function. So that is about the concept of value engineering and which is based on function analysis. Now, if you come to the structure of value engineering, how we do value engineering, how the methodology, the procedure, we call it a value engineering job plan. So we have 3 different phases: a pre-workshop phase, a workshop phase, and a post-workshop phase. In the pre-workshop phase, we collect, the project is selected, accordingly the theme is selected, and the team is engaged in data collection. Okay. You can have a pre-workshop meeting also to identify and give the responsibility of collecting data according to the skill set that they are having or the information that they'll be able to collect. The data collected can be the drawings related to the project, the general informations, the costing, the site details, if it is a construction project. Then, again, maybe the rules and regulations regarding that project and the location. Again, the specs regarding the project, whatever we have communicated to the client. Likewise, the total detail regarding the project can be collected at that time. And with the collected data, the selected team will come for the information phase. When they come for the information phase, they'll transform that information, transform it to the data to information, which will help us to understand the project better. Okay. So maybe there you can prepare cost models of different aspects. Yeah. And if it is if you can actually take the, I also mentioned about the needs, desires, constraints of the project. I mean, maybe the customers can have different types of requirements from the project. So we can capture their needs, desires, and the constraints, mostly the some of the rules that we have to follow, all those that can be constrained. Again, maybe the desire of a client can be a constraint for the designer. Yeah, likewise, we'll collect all the needs, wants, and desires of the customers and all the stakeholders. It will be a set of maybe sentences or their desires captured as sentences. So these sentences also we will take, and in the function analysis phase, the cost related aspect we can put it as functions. Again, that will be also, we'll take also the functions related to the needs, wants and constraints from these stakeholders, and we put it as functions. Now we have a list of functions which actually will help you to understand the logic of the product or the project that you are doing. Then we'll identify which all functions will need improvement. So wherever the potential of value improvement is there, those functions will take it for the creativity phase. We generate ideas, evaluate the best ideas, we evaluate and find out the best ideas, develop those and present it to the decision makers so that they can take decision on which idea can be implemented. Some of the idea may not be implemented from the business perspective when they look at it. So these are the activity that happens in the workshop phase. Usually, mostly it is a 5-day workshop that happens for a project. So then after the project, we decide on what all ideas we will take it for implementation. After the workshop, we will have a documented result of the project, and that will be along with the implementation plan and who all to be implemented. So we can have a RASI method, and capture the implementation plan. Then you implement, you will monitor the implementation. You can you will give all the information, you educate whoever has to be accountable to implement it. But if you are not there for the implementation, then at least the team should monitor the implementation. Then it is also audited for its technical and financial feasibility, how it fared according to the technical and financial expectation that we set for the project. Okay, this is the job plan. I have explained the structure. Okay, so we will see that how it is happening in a case study later. Now, when to conduct a value engineering study, it also depends on, if you remember, Kasi sir also was telling about, you can have the value engineering study conducted even at the construction stage. It will fetch benefits. But the thing is that if you do it at the earlier stage, then that will give you maximum output of the study, because anyway we are giving that we are giving our resources for the study, so we need to take the maximum output from that, right? So what we can also do is that if you are doing it in a conceptual stage of a project, like we can plan the value for the project. So then we will have a logical diagram, like what fast diagram we should follow for the project. Keeping that as guideline, when we come to the value engineering, we can do the design, and in the design phase, we'll be able to engineer the value for the project. Then once the design is done, then we can do a value analysis, how the project is actually helping us to have that value. It's also a kind of analysis, no? The design is already done, and so if we want to have any more improvement, we can suggest there also. But see, the design is already done, many approvals have come, but still it's not, maybe the construction is still to happen, and so you can go with an analysis, but So implementing that again in a design stage, in the drawings and all, you will not be entertained just like the way the ideas will be entertained in a engineering phase. So,
Madam, can I interrupt just for a moment?
Yeah, please.
See, you are saying value engineering can be used in different stages of the project.
Yeah.
That means it has already been finalized. The value engineering has already been done before we are going ahead with the implementation. Definitely, correct?
Implementation in the sense?
Implementation means actual construction of a project.
Yeah, this is not. This is value methodology. Sorry, the same method we can use it at the design conceptual stage.
No, my question is, at what point of time of the project value engineering has to be completed?
Yeah, no, that is what you can have. Not only one study, maybe you can have multiple studies in the same project. That is what I was trying to say. So if you can do that, or it will be good. The thing is, in the value planning stage, you can maybe it is only a schematic drawing is the scheme of the project is developed. So at that time, if you are coming up with the function analysis, function logic path, then the team is aligned what are we doing with this project. So the logic of that project is already set and we have a direction to follow then. So with that direction, when we get into the design stage of the same project, I'm talking about the same project. So if you are getting into the same project, you will be doing the design in line with the already we have a thought process. In line with that, we are designing it. And so we are going a little more in depth with respect to the design. No, we are getting all prepare the details regarding the project design stage. Then when we come to the value analysis, maybe towards the end of the design, when the design is almost ready, maybe sometime, I mean, this different organizations or different companies have their own way of doing it. Some do it at 30 and 70% design. Some do only at 60% design. So like that, they have there is a value engineering policy to follow when they are deploying value engineering in a organization or in a department.
I wish to clarify a little bit more, madam.
Yeah.
Value study can be done at any time of the project, throughout the project life cycle, anytime you can do it.
Yeah.
But doing VE study during the initial design stages will allow the stakeholders to make the changes, and there is a possibility of implementing the changes at a lower cost. When you do it after construction, it will be very difficult and the cost will be very high. So during the design stage, 30% and 60% are ideal stages where you can conduct value engineering, so that in the 100% you can implement it. And going into construction phase, we put it in the contract that the contractor is welcome to suggest any value engineering that can be both beneficial to both parties, reducing the cost, reducing the resources, maximizing the function for the client. So in that, if the contractor is doing value engineering, there must be some incentive. So the contract provides for sharing of the profit of the value engineering on monetary basis. Hope this clarifies.
It's a good,
but you are talking about which scenario? It's not an Indian scenario that you are talking about, right?
Yes. Yes. See, in India, a contractor comes with a suggestion during the construction stage. It is not allowed because by signing the agreement,
it is not allowed.
It is not allowed because another contractor, he was not able to come into the agreement, will definitely argue with the client. So you are giving a chance for him to change it according to his wishes. So unless I also given the chance to do it, how can you come and compare with the things?
Yeah. No,
So that is not allowed.
I mean, I didn't get your name, whoever explained, but what he said is a very correct one, but not in an Indian scenario. That is why here, when I am explaining it, I struggle to explain because we don't have a incentive policy within India, and you know that maybe soon it will come, I feel, because now people are, I mean, I can see that in tender documents. I mean, when they are asking for value engineering proposal, I mean, they are talking about value engineering in the proposals, but then there is no incentive or anything is done. But and if you see many projects studies that are available in the net also, and when you talk to those responsible who are I mean the responsible engineers for the project, when we interact with them, we can understand they all talk about value engineering, but not the way this kind of function analysis or the ideas are created according to their knowledge and whichever area they are observing. So it is a random generation of ideas. Yeah, but whichever area, whichever stage of construction that we are doing the value engineering study, we do the same methodology of what I explained, the six phase methodology, right? The same value methodology we deploy, but the information that we collect will be different, and so our study will be accordingly slightly different. But maybe the fast diagram will help us to align our thinking for the project from the starting stage. So the advantages can be solutions for the root cause of pain areas are coming in. Then innovations can come. Value for all the stakeholders. No, we are taking all the stakeholders into account, and reduce cost and optimize resources of projects. It will also improve life cycle cost. I think this slide is self-explanatory. I can move on. Yeah. Now in India, we are using it in many different areas. I mean, otherwise, I mean, worldwide it is used in many different areas: manufacturing, construction, infrastructure, healthcare, service industry, government. It can also use to enhance creativity and innovation. So that is why of late we can see many different methodology talking about the finding out the verb of whatever we are doing. For that matter, a recent methodology that has come up is design thinking. That is also using this verb concept. So it is like, this is the function analysis is the methodology which will make you very creative, which will help you to focus on the project. And that is why this kind of different methodologies are also coming, discussing about the verb of it. So then understanding that function is very important, and this can be used in multiple ways. That is why, again, many people are using function analysis. In India, there is so much of scope for construction projects also. If you take a global scenario, many of the government projects have come up with the incentive programs, as we were discussing earlier. Maybe huge, big projects, complex projects, and things like that. All these kind of projects call for value engineering study. It is a mandatory thing to do value engineering study in many different countries. So in India, how for promoting value engineering, we have different societies. International society is Society of American Value Engineers International. It is in USA. That is the global body which promotes and certifies value engineering professionals. In India, we have Indian Value Engineering Society, which is an affiliate body of SAVE International. And they have these two level certifications. First level is VMA, which is an entry-level certification for which there is a 4-day course, and after that you can write an exam and do that. And next level certification is CVS, which is the top level certification. Yeah, I just mentioned about this certification if you are interested. That's okay. So then maybe I'll also show you something which I during one of the project. Okay, this is we did a value engineering study for the procurement analysis of a company, construction company, and we analyzed it. We analyzed year-wise procurement, in the information phase for main, if I can put it in main category, all the information that we have collected is year-wise procurement analysis for the organization, project-wise analysis. We did it for 5 different projects. Year-wise, we did it for four years of data. That itself is huge data. Yeah, and also to collect data from years before that, it was not so easy because we need to have an ERP system or some kind of accounting. Everything manually, it is difficult for us to follow. So then, yeah, with all data available, yeah, this 4 years was the feasible way of conducting it. And project-wise, we did 5 different projects. And processes related to all procurement scenario, like estimation or design, how the spec is coming in, and the estimation, how they are taking the assumptions, what process they are doing, how they are interacting with procurement process, and how this procurement, the work orders and POs are translated and going to project. So everywhere there is so much of process, flow charts, yeah, standard operating procedures. It was a long, big study that we did, and yeah, company already had some ABC class analysis. A class, B class, C class items, right? So we did the ABC analysis. With all this data, we did a function analysis. We listed all the functions. We did it in multiple ways. Now, this is not the only fast diagram that will be there for such a big project. So, but then this is the main fast diagram. That is why I am showing you. So here, how this is a logical representation of what the procurement analysis is for. So then maybe the higher order function, the goal of the project is to supply resources. So how we will do that? By procuring resources. How, so from left to right, when we go, we ask the question how. How we do that? Procure resources. How we procure resource? Initiate purchase. So how we initiate purchase? By defining quantity. How we define quantity? By define specification. So when we are doing this, initially we discussed scope. We have scope set, and whatever is happening within the project, this is what we are supposed to be changing. But because it is of the procurement, we expected that specification to be here supplied to us. Okay, so if we talk about the logic of this. So this is called the critical path. This need to be there for the procurement to happen. Then there is this why logic actually confirms whether our logic is correct. So then why we are defining function, a specification to define the quantity. Why we are defining the quantity to initiate purchase. Why we are initiating purchase to procure resource. Why we are procuring resource to supply resources. So then there is another logic called when logic. Maybe it is happening at the same time, or maybe it is caused by one of the functions. So if you see procurement resources, confirm specification while procuring the resources, and make payment that happens because of the procurement of resources. Initiate purchase, track requirement, define quantity, define rate. While defining quantity, we need to define rate, allocate resources, and track quantity. Okay, whether what we are procuring is the correct quantity, we need to track the quantity also. There is something called the all-time function, which is expected to be there for the throughout the process, which will actually enhance or make sure that the process is dependable and reliable. Okay, so follow guidelines, optimize resources. Why we are doing this is to ensure availability. So this this kind of understanding, with that we analyze. I mean, this we prepared as a perfect. I mean, right level fast diagram, how it has to be with the process, and then we went to the actual level to understand that these many the functions in white were not so clearly. I mean, were not followed to the proper allocation of that function. No? So these helped us to come up with many different functions. Many different ideas. Hello. Yeah, these functions actually helped us to understand where all we could have potential areas of improvement. Thus, we came to the creative phase, used many different creativity tools, generated many ideas. In fact, we also invited some more team members to and I mean, who are knowledgeable, and we updated our study and we included them too, because while we understanding this fast diagram, we understood that the scope is more than what we were expecting. The outcome, no, the many different pain areas were coming into light, and with that, yeah, we generated many different ideas. And what happened, yeah, after that we evaluated those ideas. How we will evaluate is that first implemented ideas were segregated, then the rest of the ideas, I mean, there was a large number of ideas. So then rest of the ideas we tried to combine. We identified if there is any many different ideas, if it can be combined together to make a more powerful idea. So likewise, we followed the process of this is the process of evaluation as suggested by value engineering study. Then we did paired comparison or decision matrix on competing ideas, or sometimes we even use the PUC method, which is also very similar to paired comparison decision matrix, but yeah, we use different methods. Then the outcome was different process improvements, which actually could, and accordingly, the process of different functional areas were improved. Then update on estimation assumptions were done because we also understood the, I'll go back to the function and show why. Estimate, then establishing the accountability, then enhance internal auditing to keep the system in place. So if you see here, the quantity was a problem, defining rate was a problem. Yeah, okay. So such areas we identified and came up with the proposals to improve all those. Then some of the ideas were how we can actually, the specification need to be specified. I mean, maybe the designer gives us the specification. The lower order function was also actually handicapped, even though it was outside the scope of procurement study. But we took it inside because without a specification, the procurement is also affected. And we suggested process, and we actually there was software developed because how the different people who are actually making the specification, and here actually, and the observation from this project is this kind of gap happens mostly because of the communication that is a handicap within our construction. I mean, when people are working in a different department, different functional areas, no? So from the designer, when it is coming to the estimation to, so many people are using the same project and using it in many different aspects of idea or generating details of the project, correct? No, designer will give the drawing and specification, estimation will take the quantity and rate and things like that. Then the procurement, in connection with procurement, so they will get the quantity only, and they get the rate from the market. So there are multiple information that is happening from different functional areas. So how with that, some of the information is all lost. One as designer may be thinking that the next person knows about it, but maybe it is not documented properly. So because of that, we have observed many improvements or many gaps in the documentation. So that is why many of the ideas were proposed. Tracking the quantity, tracking requirement before next order. Yeah, okay. So after that, the outcome was with all these ideas combined, there was a big idea came that was suggested from the management when we came up with the study, and that big idea was implemented, in fact, which made us all proud. Yeah, the big idea was to keep a technical purchase audit team to check all the technical feasibility before procuring, going ahead with the procurement. That really helped the organization to have a quality, mostly quality improvement in the documentation. Then for sure that brought in so much of cost saving for the company. And moreover, people started thinking about what they were doing, and this helped many people. After that, actually many people came to me and told, because of your study, now we know what is happening in construction. Now I know how is my work is getting affected to that project. Now I also feel that I'm a part of that project. I'm not a person who is sitting and buying things. I am not a person who's sitting and calculating quantity. Yeah, they all started seeing as a part of the project also. I mean, that was a wonderful study that, yeah. So that is what I wanted to tell you today. It's a good process to follow, which will help us to keep all of us in the same page with respect to the understanding of the project. Yeah, now over to you, Nebu.
Can I ask one thing?
Sure, sure.
Madam, okay, I thank you very much for your presentation, but I also want to know about the time period of the value engineering activity in the process of a project. I am connected with construction projects. So if you can stick on to a construction project, like a big building, some 20-story building, can you just give example of the sequential way of doing value engineering with the time milestone?
When you say talk about time in duration in months, I will not say, because it depends on how it is there with each company. No, each company will have a different way of.
No, madam. See, the quantification of the time is not required.
Yeah,
what is the correct point of time? What is the correct point of time in which a value engineer qualified step in the project and he travel towards his target? That is what I want to know from you.
Yeah, okay. So then,
I think if I'm right, actually, Mr. Rajendran's question is actually what is the right time for a value engineer to step in? Right, Mr. Rajendran?
Yes, then he has to travel through the project to study the project, study the plan, study the investigation, study the design. So I want to know how he is performing his journey towards his target. His target is to complete the value engineering. Can you just help me to understand it?
Yeah, usually it is done at the 30%. If you take it in a general way, it is done at the 30% or 30% and 70%, 70 or 60 or 70% at the design. So the design is already started. So maybe but my suggestion is that if you can go with the schematic, when the schematic is done, maybe there is an internal approval. This is how I did it for that company. When after this schematic design, there was a design brief to all the decision makers with respect to that project. So in that pre-design stage review itself, we get all the information. For that also we have our own information. So maybe 1 week before the pre-launch, we call it pre-launch meeting. Okay, so then at that time, one week before that, we used to get this information. We had the initial say on the project. Maybe at that time, only the feasibility study is done. Maybe geo details are there. The ground is only there, and the architects come up with the very schematic type of the conceptual stage. They come up with the design. So then we do the that is 1 week before that they'll give. So to this meeting is a design brief from our design brief and our suggestion for the project also. Okay, this is the perfect way of going in the Indian scenario, I felt. Then after that, when the full design is ready, then there was a meeting with all the concerned people of all the different department so that we called a construction brief, no, before going for the construction or the good for construction drawings also, before preparing that. So then,
madam, see, you said before the design.
Yeah.
Means before the design means with the intake from the value engineer, the design is performed. Not like
actually it is.
So the schematic actually goes. Sorry, Nebu.
No, if my understanding is right, what Madam you mean to say that once the scheme drawing is ready, then the value engineer steps in, and they put in their inputs in the schematic drawing before the drawings are taken to the stakeholders evaluation.
The evaluation,
right, ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay, then it goes to then it goes back to the architect again to incorporate the if there is any changes or anything, and then again it comes back to the and then proceeded to the actual planning phase.
Then actually there is a constructability study and things like that, no? So those study along with that, the next stage when the design is kind of, I mean now before going with the major approvals, no? If you are going after the approval, you cannot change the, there is restriction in changing the design, right? We know the different stages, like if it is G+4, it is a different thing. Because then in that case, we need to go to the national level approvals and things like that. Yeah, according to the NBC, yeah, we take the value engineering study again, depending on the project also. It's not, yeah. But
that way you need
my point is that, yeah, before getting into the major approvals, because if you have anything, any proposal after that approval, then most of the time you will say no, this can't be done because of this. I mean, we have got no answer to many ideas. That is
definitely before getting permission, it is very sensible that we should get everything concluded by the client and the designer or the architect or whoever is the stakeholders.
Yeah.
That is, it is very easy to understand that when we go for the permit and getting permitting and getting permit and arguing for another change, it is nobody will do it.
Yeah, nobody will do that.
So before getting permit, we will finish off everything like changes in the design, changes in the schematic, changes in the all things. So, okay, whatever you said is correct, but a sequential, very dramatic way you can explain if you are very much experienced with a project from the very start of the project to the end of the project.
No, here, this you asked me the right, I mean, which is the right method. Now I'll say my experience also.
Yeah, but since you are an experienced person, I think all the members who are listening to you will get benefit out of your experience by sequencing the activity of coming up to a project. It's implementation
this is process-wise. This is the method.
Okay,
but no, in construction, during construction, many construction procedure can be changed. That is just to optimize our resources. This kind of many different ideas are proposed from the construction team also. So when we see that repeated problems are there in the while constructing. For example, in one of the project, we saw that one exhaust fan was on a beam, and there was a core cutting to be done and things like that. And instead of that, maybe the designer said we'll use it with shuttering, proper shuttering we can do. But then that was a big task because with the shuttering, when they compacted it, it all got skewed, and then they took it like, yeah, this is a common problem. So what we will do is that after making the beam, we will go core cutting. Again, it is, maybe you are cutting the important reinforcement and things like that, right? So then we involved foremen and people, experienced people who are actually knowledgeable in, experience in that level. And so when we did that study, we came up with a very good idea of having the cutting in a proper way without core cutting, the cutout in the, yeah.
Madam, I think that is a thing which is decided by the HVAC engineer and
No, the
other
thing
people.
is that they can say that here we need a cutout. How you are making that cutout? So if you are making that cutout in a skewed way, and then after that you are coming and redoing everything, that is a double expense, right?
Is it coming under the purview of the value engineering?
Yeah, I mean, we did study in construction practices also likewise, and that was excellent. We reduced many repetition of reworks, many reworks that were repeated in many different projects. We started observing that, and that was improvements for procedures were suggested. And finally, we had run many different value engineering studies. The result was like at least we could run exhibitions every 6 months with 40 ideas. Yeah.
Also, I just want to clarify one thing. In India, the cold eye review is there. You know that projects, which big projects are subjected to cold eye review.
Yeah.
Is it anything to do with value engineering?
I don't know
about cold eye review. Cold eye review.
No. I know there are many different reviews that are there with I have requested with some this one, but then the process that they follow, I'm not very sure, sir.
It's not a process. Cold eye review for a project is done to understand the feasibility, it's the essentiality. So many
you
things
asked me
are
whether it is a value engineering study. Yeah. You asked me whether it is a value engineering study.
Is it a member of the family under value engineering?
It's completely a different topic. Cold eye is a completely different aspect, I believe.
Try to explain it a bit. The cold eye review is just equal to peer review. It's called outside India. It's called peer review. In old government practice, it's called cold eye review. They will do what is done. Is it done as per the code provisions, as per the general practices, good engineering practices considered or not? Yeah, value engineering is something different, which is not there, which is going to expand the value or the functionality, and the peer review will not consider anything about the functionality. Whatever they have done, is it done as per the process, procedures, good engineering practices, guidelines, code books and all. They will see only that. For example, the structural design, which method they have used, direct method or equivalent frame method, whether it is feasible to use this particular method for this bridge, something like that. But they will not talk about value.
That means you are concluding that it is being done after the completion of a project, not before the starting of a project, correct?
No, cold eye review is before the project, no?
I think it is before the project.
Before the project.
Before the execution of the project.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Not like checking whether they have done properly, they have...
No. What he meant is that whether the project is rightly designed. That is what it is done in a cold review. It's not whether the project is right. That is what value engineering will say. Whatever the elements that is provided.
Now I could understand there is variation between this value engineering and cold eye review.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Anybody
you.
else? Thanks, Mr. Shivaraman, too. Yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am. Can I ask a question?
Please.
Yeah, ma'am. I am a budding engineer from Cochin. Okay. So, what could be? I mean, how can freshers or beginners play a part in value engineering, or what they should follow, or what is your maybe message or suggestion to them, to young engineers, budding engineers, in regard to value engineering?
No, to understand value engineering, you need to understand what is function thinking, function analysis, and how to deploy that function analysis in a project. So that you need to train yourself as a value engineer.
That
Yeah.
will come up with experience, I think. Okay.
Sorry?
Right. That would be like we will build up that skill by experience only, right?
No, function analysis training you can have when you can actually logically see in it. When you can think logically, you can become a value engineer. So for that matter, yeah, we all are doing value engineering. Only thing is that we don't understand value engineering. That's what I mean. If I after you defining the function for pen, will you say that you were doing something differently earlier? No, I just made you think how you are using function analysis when you are actually buying a pen. You are using function analysis. Only thing is that we are not aware of how we are thinking, how we are actually using that function thinking within us. So if you are able to understand, if you are make yourself aware of the function thinking, then it will be easier for all of us, I mean, for you to practice it. Anything with awareness, you will be able to better practice, no? That is it. So we all know that, but then if you are trained to use it in multiple ways, yeah, that is good. So maybe you need to develop your understanding on function analysis. That is the main thing with respect to value engineering, and how this function will make you creative. Here, in value engineering, we all say that function inspired change. If the function is making you think creatively.
Yeah, thank you.
Function is basically, as the presentation says, function is basically defined with various variables like what, why, when function variables, right? What, why function questions, as Mutaya sir was also telling last sessions. So will it depend on the priority of any particular project on a person? Because I can have a why question, I can have a when question, but it will not be same why and when for other person, right? So project to project it will vary. So can you unify? We cannot unify it to a same answer. It depends on project to project priority. It will vary. So how can we channelize into the same way? My thinking will be different. What my why question will be different. The project is so critical. I want to finish it very fast. I will not go behind. More. It can be how it will verify. Or that is first question. Second question will be, we have quality methodology like total quality management, Sigma analysis, Six Sigma. Lot of analysis was there from beginning. Also we have innovation thinking. So how it will vary from value engineering. These are all methodologies we can find in the industry. So how it will vary from the value engineering concept.
Now, first question is how you identify function. Identifying function, there is only one question in the sense, for a project, first day server say, okay, what should it do? Okay. Or when we took the product, I said, what does it do? So that is the basic question. So what does it do? Maybe that is the basic question in to identify the function. So it's not like asking multiple different questions, only understanding a customer requirement with respect to this same function. Yeah. For example, maybe if you take a project.
I will put, sorry for interpreting. I'll put one example. We define it based on the procurement flow, right? The case study was done based on the procurement flow, right? If you take an example of a procurement flow, we can have value engineering applied to a number of procurement flows, right? We can have, I want to procure a beam, metal beam, okay. I can procure it, I can, or it's a fabricator beam, right? Fabricator structure I want to use in a project. I can make it locally, I can make a good finish from outside, I can have cost saving. So different options of procurement for I can apply. The function remains same. So value engineering, how the value engineering will be applied based on my priority. I can wait for more innovative, cheaper one from overseas, or maybe locally available will be costlier. So lot of options are available. So how the function will be applied? Function remains same. How the value engineering will be
For
applied
the
in such
product function, so then the function, yeah, what you said is very good. Then your function cost is different, right? So
Yeah.
you want to use minimum resource to get the same function, right?
Yeah.
So if you are able to get the same function in a minimum resource, that is what we want to. And another aspect will be if the different alternatives give you all the required functions also. Okay. So these two aspects we will think when we are going with an alternative. Okay.
Mr. Tibu, you want the priorities, right?
Yes,
Sorry?
yes, my
Yeah,
priority will be
for
fine.
that, Kasi sir has already given the sequence. Did you forget it? Basic functions, ensuring the dependability, then good to have, nice to have, pleased to have, all that. It goes like that. He has already given a priority.
Okay.
Yeah, and the customer-oriented functions. No.
So it's depend on the priority then. Value engineering function definition depend on the priority then.
It is depend. I mean, value is always. I mean, that is how we started, right? Value is dependent on the customer require. I mean, how do you see value? Value is different for different people. Different this one. So then that is why we take care of all the customer requirements and put it in perspective. That is how we did the fast diagram too.
Then the function changes, right? Depend on priority means my function changes.
No, priority in the sense it is not because of the, I mean, I didn't get you properly. If I understand properly, so the function, what does it do in that situation? So if you are, if you are buying that pen, I mean, in that situation, if you take multiple different options are there, your priority is to have a small line or a broader line. Accordingly, whatever is that, the basic function is make mark, and after that you need some more functions to added to that. That is why sir said this different kind of functions: convenience, attract user, satisfy user. Sir, could you like to take that question once? In that case, could you want to put your perspective in, sir?
First of all, it was a very good presentation, and I really enjoyed the basic of introducing the function. I felt you should have done it first before I went anyway, but it's really good. I enjoyed it. What's the question you want? I was listening to that. First of all, every question and every discussion is really very informative, and it is right. And I couldn't disagree with any of the comments that made our discussion, but it's just a different perspective. I'd like to kind of give a summary of a couple of questions, my response. Mr. Rajendran asked about the journey. One of the things would we find with the VE, it's the timing, you talked about it, but it's the spirit of a partnership. That takes, the industry has to grow, industry has to mature. The contractor, the owner, the designer, architect, everyone have to have a trust in each other in the process. And that's what happened in US after 45 years. When introduced in the 60s, it took that long, when you're comparing the life of VE in the US, it took a lot of things. And Mr. Menon asked about how do I really get the training? And I can only relate my experience. When I first started with function analysis, believe it or not, in my office, a lot of people kind of joke about it, laughed about it. But what I did was, there was no encouragement. But what you really need to do is when you face a problem next time and understand the problem and say, how do I solve the problem? Why do I do that? That is kind of the experience you need. It is a baby steps. You have to take a small steps together. And I don't know whether we have time this weekend or this. I really like to talk about one of the problem of one where we were all with a couple of our people who had the PhD were trying to solve a problem. Finally, I found the answer to a high school physics book. And the reason I was able to do it is by asking the question why. It's a basic fundamental of physics. And so the problem is, as you get more experience and get more educated, sometimes you forgot the basic things. That's what the why really does. Again, it's already a long session today. Somewhere I would like to do it at the closing session, but in general, and then the other question was that there are different ways you can review a project. Value engineering is not the only way. People do that. Some people are brilliant. People will come in and look at it, and they go through the VE process in probably in 2 or 3 minutes in their mind. But it doesn't mean they didn't do a VE, but they were so experienced. Now, what the VE really does for an average thinking person, when I say average, it's not the intellectual average time. But in other words, you don't have too much time, you don't have less time, you're in between. This gives you a disciplined, organized method. And again, you have to say, VE is not the only way to solve the problem. It's one of the good way of doing it. People do the lean management. Sometimes they miss the functions. And when Anita talked about function over resources, and if you look at buying an automobile, you can buy a used car for in US dollar $10,000, or you can buy a Tesla for $140,000. Then in between you have Mercedes and Audi, so forth. But each one of the resource keep on increasing at the bottom, but still the value may stay the same because you are increasing the functions. So that's what that statement of function over resources is not a mathematical number. It's more of a philosophical, logical method. So when we talk about, Mr. Thomas asked a couple of times, how do you really implement some other things in under certain conditions in India? I think what you need to do would be to look for an opportunity where they will come to you. You keep your tool always ready to go. We have contractors who hated VE. They said, I want to get the job done. Then there are contractors who called us, hey, we have a problem and can you solve it? Whether it's a schedule or a construction time or some obstacle. So the need will drive you to initiate a VE process. So, but the thing that these sessions really doing for you is to get your thinking, and that's one, and wait for an opportunity that will come, whether it's in construction or a design and a planning. Again, going back to, if you can do it in the planning phase, it's an ideal way where nobody has any pride of authorship and so forth. It does. When it comes to the construction, a lot of constraints, timing, schedule, and all those things. But if they reach a dead end on a particular issue, now they have to turn back. And that time the VE really does. And in the last 40 years, that a lot of our successful VE is because somebody wanted to solve a problem. So that's my little thing to summarize. I really enjoyed it, Anita. Looking forward for tomorrow's session. And again, I think the discussion is really, really valuable. I felt like after this one, if I had to do my presentation the last 2 days, I would have done slightly different because of the questions were asked and the comments were made, and they're all good comments, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you, Getshi sir.
Yeah. One more thing, actually, Tibu was asking about different processes also. These processes actually are helping us in information phase to collect, say Six Sigma, you mentioned Six Sigma. Yeah. So that will be a great information for us to go ahead, start our study. So we have the vital few elements which need value improvement. And then the function analysis will tell us whether actually we need to do something about it. Yeah, this is on the extreme cases we identified. That is what happens with the Six Sigma. You know the bell curve, right? So the extreme cases we identified. Whether we need to take it for a study, that the function also will help us to tell us. So both cases, Six Sigma and the function analysis tell us the same area, then it is more sure for us. So all processes are welcomed in value engineering. Value engineering encompasses all the different methodologies. If you go for 5i, if you go for trees, if you take any different processes, everything we can use it in one way or the one phase or the other. But again, function analysis, that makes value engineering so different. I mean,
Yeah. Anita, I think we all have access to internet. So when you get a chance, look at the key performance indicator, which is KPI.
KPI, yeah.
Yeah, balance scorecard is another one. Lean management, 6 hats, ISO, all of them, when you look at it, like Anita said, they are all good process, but they all can use the function analysis as a tool. Not as a process, but as a tool to balance scorecard, to KPI. VE is not competing with them. They really supplement and support the logical thinking, because you need a logical thinking. And like I said, in all of them that I practiced it, but always the function analysis comes in. Again, even with the function analysis in a simple term, the purpose and logically how and why. That's, again, you do a function analysis, what does that really mean? It really means what is your purpose? How do you do it? And why do you do it? And that's simple, thinking. And that's what all of the processes will have. Sometimes client wants a particular one and they can use it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, Anita ma'am, for this wonderful presentation. And special thanks to Kashi sir for being here and being a big support for this today's session. And indeed, as you have mentioned, we can have a separate closing session with all 4 of you, so that the participants can exchange their values also. That they can ask more questions and clarify their most of their concerns. I think that that would be good. I think from the participant side, how do you think?
It's a good idea.
Let's go with that, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. So we'll call it a day. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much on behalf of Construction Philosophy and Institution of Engineers India, Cochin Local Center. And good night to all. I'll see you tomorrow, same time. Thank you so much.
Welcome all of you. Good evening to all of you. It's nice being here with you, all enthusiastic engineers. And so let's start today's session. So yesterday what we were seeing is that we were seeing some basics of value engineering. We tried to understand how to define a function with active verb and measurable noun. We also tried to understand the structure of value methodology, pre-workshop phase, workshop phase, and post-workshop phase, what all we need to do. And we saw that through our case study also in procurement. If you remember, we discussed a case study on procurement. Today, what we will see is that we'll just see a little bit on life cycle costing and the concepts behind life cycle costing. And I would also like to discuss with you some aspects of customer-oriented functions, which is used in task fast diagrams, just to bring to, because right now with the previous sessions on value engineering, you are you have more exposure to customer oriented functions, and so then how these functions will help us in understanding the different features that need to be there. I mean, how we it will help us to understand the project in a different view, rather than seeing it as materials and components and the simply a structure. So what all we are giving to the customer, we'll see it through a customer, we'll just understand with an example. Okay, what is this life cycle costing? There are many different finance tools that we use, maybe break-even analysis we can do, or we can do many a times we talk about payback period when we implement something, or even return on investment when you are doing an investment, return on investments. So mostly all these things we try and do that when we make an investment, when we do an alternative. So, or when we implement things, we do multiple financial assessments. Now, what I have seen is that life cycle costing is something that is rarely used. That's why I thought of just discussing the aspect of life cycle costing. So this gives a total cost of ownership of a project for a given period. So then this actually will help us also in understanding what all facilities we can give it in, and the different alternatives if we are giving also how it is going to affect our project. Or even when we are deciding on asset procurements, which is there for a long time with the company, then in such cases, life cycle costing will help us to take an informed decision. So the components of life cycle costing, it has the initial costing, and then during the use of this project, as this is commissioned, or if you are buying an asset, then while it is being used, there are many different single expenditures. Then at the end of the time, then there is a disposal cost also. Again, there are recurrent annual costs are there. So annually some costs are happening. So this single expenditures can be on the 5th year, maybe you have to replace something, you have to redo something, or in the 10th year, maybe some material. We expect that a lifetime of a component that is within the asset, maybe it can wear out. For example, if you are going for a car, then in that case, there will be a tire replacements, or these are single expenditures that can come in the lifetime of the product. Then there are annual costs. Maybe in a building we need to do so as a single expenditure, we need to do painting, we need to redo some of the flooring that is coming off or something. Or maybe some flooring which we have proposed as ceramic, that it has a specific time period, and so after that, if you want to relay the flooring, or things like that will come as expenditures at some point of time. And then there are annual costs like electric charges and things like that, and maintenance of any facilities that are used within the building. no, as in if you, it's easier for us to understand it through an asset. So that's why in the case of a car, the fuel can be an annual consumption of fuel, or annually we'll be doing maintenance, and yeah, if there is any maintenance that is given as annual, this one, then such investment, I mean, such expenditure can come into the life cycle costing. Okay, we said all these things will come. The thing is, the problem here is that these expenses are happening at different interval as per the time. No? So when different expenditure is happening at different timeline of the product, this cannot be clubbed together. Why we can't do that? Because the money that we are having today is not, I mean, if 100 rupee that we are having today is not equal to the 100 rupee next year. It has the interest rate and things like that, it has changed its value. So then it is important to understand the expenditures at the same time frame. Then only we will be able to club it together and understand actually what is the expense of having this facility. So that is where this life cycle cost comes into play. So then this is called the time, present value of an expenditure. For such a, there are 4 different cases of this life cycle costing. So I'm just giving you some examples. So if we want to make a one-time deposit of 100 rupee at 8% interest, compounded yearly, would grow to what kind of, what amount at the end of 10 years. So it can, that means n, number of years is equal to 10, and I we have taken as 8%. So today we have 100 rupee, and after 10 years, how much it will become. So if you see the timeline, this is how the timeline explains it. We can do it through a formula. Also, there are economic tables available which will help us to calculate that cost. So from the economic table, we can get this kind of this value from for n is equal to 10 for the interest rate 8% and the year 10. So the economic table will look like this. So then if you see, this is for 8% interest rate, and n is equal to 10. Single compound interest value will be 2.1589. So that value multiplied by the present value will give you the futuristic cost. Okay. Now this is a second scenario where we want to know, we have to set aside a certain amount of money now at 8% annual interest to have 700 at the end of 10 years. So then if we need to have 700 rupees after 10 years, then what we have to set aside now. For this one, I mean, again, we can calculate it and find it out. The economic table will help you to find it. N is equal to 10 and a single present worth for futuristic. So present worth will be 0.4632. So that is how we will be able to calculate. Again, there is the third case of we need to we have, see, one can if one can take a loan of 1,100 and repay over 10 years at 8%. So I have taken 8% interest, and how much will be the annual payment. So again, this can be converted to periodic payments, and a different discussion will be annual maintenance of 50 is required for 10 years at 8% interest, and what can be the present, how much amount we need to set aside now. Okay, so that gives us a, again from the economic table we will get the constant. Okay, so n is equal to. So that is how we will be able to calculate the present worth of a product, of any expenditure that we are having. So how we will calculate all the cost to the present value. That is what we saw. Then for different cases of life cycle costing. No, sorry, for different cases of present worth calculation. So that is one aspect I wanted to tell you. And the other aspect will be about the customer oriented fast diagram. So yesterday we saw a technical oriented fast diagram when we were discussing about the procurement channel. You remember the how why logic that we used. We asked how and how, why, and reached the logic of the product, the critical path, and then the secondary functions were coming below the critical path, which was caused to by or happening at the same time. And that is how we saw it as a technical fast diagram. Now this is a different fast diagram, which this will help us to understand how so this is a different fast diagram. This is called the task fast diagram or customer oriented fast diagram. This helps us to take a decision as per now maybe in the conceptual stage. I think this will be a better this will give a better understanding and guidance for us to go ahead with what all features we can put in our projects. This consists of basic and secondary supporting functions. So basic function is what the system is there for, the the basic function of a product. So like we were we were defining yesterday. But then and now here in this fast diagram we have primary supporting functions which are always there in the system. It is always there. That is assure dependability, assure convenience, satisfy stakeholders, and attract stakeholders. So here in this fast diagram, these are always there. And what these primary supporting functions help us to do is that apart from whatever is there in the basic function which helps the product to work, apart from that, what all functions that we identify, we will be able to put it in 4 different buckets, which will help the customer to, which is a customer-oriented way we will understand it. So how this is going to help us is, there are definite ways of understanding assure dependability, assure convenience, satisfy stakeholder, and attract stakeholder. So these are the parameters which how we will take these functions into 4 different buckets. So this is assure dependability. So if I take assure dependability, It makes the project elements stronger, reliable, and safer, and minimizes maintenance and protect environment. So in your in our design, if you are making a building, then what the features that we incorporate to make our project elements stronger, reliable, and safer. So we'll include for safety, we include many aspects into the project, or how we can reduce maintenance. Okay, such things will be there. So or protect environment to reduce the impact of on environment. Maybe we will incorporate something, maybe a sustainable designs. Such things can be put as so what all functions that we put for assure dependability will come under these heads. Again, assure convenience will help us to modify the basic function to make it more convenient to use. Again, enhance space, facilitate maintenance, furnish instruction. So each of this function we achieve in our product by doing something. So the cost related to that will come under these buckets. That is the concept of putting it in many different buckets. Again, satisfy user the functions related to modifying the basic function to the individual desire. So deliver according to specifications, making elements appear better. Then attract user, please senses, project image with trademarks, etc. So these how it has helped us is when we were analyzing the design, we took all the functions related to the project and put it in the different buckets, and we made a spider chart out of it. So such charts help us to understand how effectively we were giving the building, how we were constructing the building with respect to the customer orientation, how we will orient our products towards customer and how they will be able to enhance. And the thing is that we have to have a understanding on how much we are going to spend on this for different aspects apart from the basic function. So this is a good guidance when we are budgeting our project, but seeing that the functions are addressed in a project in a very efficient way. Yeah, so these functions assure dependability, assure convenience, satisfy user, and attract user. These functions are delivered in a building project by I'm taking an example of a building. Then the structural engineers actually give the basic function and assure dependability. Mechanical and electrical engineers give assure convenience because they provide the facility. They provide that service, right? Modify the basic function to make it more convenient to use, right? Okay, so then architects give basic function, yeah, and also the satisfy user and attract user. So the aesthetic appearance, such things are given by, such functions are given by the architects. So here I'm just taking a simple example for us to connect this and understand how this will help us to come up with a better, help us to decide a better solution or better alternative for a building project. So I'm just taking the example of a plastering here. What do you mean by plastering? What is plastering for you? Plastering here, by definition, it's the process of covering rough walls and even surfaces in the construction of houses and other structures with a plastic material called plaster, which is a mix of lime or cement and sand along with required quantity of water. Yeah, we all know what is plastering. Even you do, we know it very well. Now, again, plaster is a building material used for protective or decorative coating of walls and ceilings for molding and casting decorative elements. So then, having said all this, what is the function of plastering here?
To conceal the background of the wall. Say.
Yeah, okay. To conceal the, conceal what?
The background of the wall, the rough background, or say the electrical ducts and all that, which is not necessary for aesthetic appearance.
Yeah, appearance. Yeah, okay.
To hide poor workmanship of masonry work.
Yeah. Okay. So some defects are there in our masonry due to wanted or unwanted activities that happened with respect to the masonry while we were doing the masonry. And so we wanted to hide those defects. Correct. So hide defects is the function of a plastering. So in that case, what can be, will we be able to, okay, otherwise, what this function will help you to think about?
Smita says to give an even, smooth and regular finish.
Yeah.
It can to protect, it can be also to protect the block work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Additional
Protection
protection,
is
additional
actually major
protection.
factor in this. Improve appearance.
As
Improve
it's
appearance.
as the composite, that involves irregularities. So in order to conceal this, we use.
Yeah, okay. So there are many things that we want to hide, and so just and for hiding, we are using plastering. Now, no, some of us actually are feeling that we are going for a plastered wall will protect the surface also, right? But
Yes, madam. This is for protecting from the vagaries of weather, the inside brick. Otherwise, without plaster, after a rain, the wall will get choked.
That may not, yeah, okay. Anyway, we'll discuss on that. The thing is, when we are doing a proper masonry work, if we are doing it with proper leveling and things like that, that undulations will not be there. Apart from the material, so just imagine a nicely done masonry. So in that case, we can improve our workmanship and we can achieve a leveled surface with masonry. Isn't it so? Then the next thing will be, there are this mortar which is actually not in a nicely leveled situation when we are just doing the masonry. So just after doing the masonry, each level of masonry brickwork, we'll be having the mortar. So when the mortar is wet only, if we are able to do a pointing, we'll be able to get a nice look for the mortar also. Now, what we are actually doing is that we are making sure that the masonry is done properly and efficiently with leveling, and the verticality of the masonry is maintained. Okay, so thus we can actually go for an exposed brickwork. What we get is that better bonds, because what I have seen is that when the brickwork is exposed, we take care for the we take care that the bonding or the bond that we follow are properly done. Okay, so that there will not be any vertical extension of bonds. I mean, you know how it has to be staggered bonding that need to be there. So that staggered bonding, the better bonding will happen when it is an exposed brickwork. Again, better materials need to be used. As Mr. Rajendran was telling, maybe it will be affected by the weather. So to avoid that, we will use better materials. So the materials for the masonry will be better, and so that if we do plastering, we have to come back and what is the maintenance with respect to both the brickwork? What is your feeling on the masonry, exposed masonry and a plastered wall?
Plaster wall is better.
Why?
So maintenance cost will be reduced if we apply the plastering, such that the wall is not directly affected to the external weathering.
What is the maintenance that is doing what that we will do on a wall?
See, wall means again it will react to the rain and everything. So again we have to clear the algae effect. Everything is to be taken in consideration. That to plastering means we go with the external painting also. So with this repellent painting, it is not directly affected to the weathering.
Yeah, very well said, Raghu. But then, yeah, what you said is very correct. For a plastered wall, you can see algae, these things. Again, for plastered wall, we have to come back and paint it every 5 years minimum. Yeah, these many repeated activities need to be there. But I'm not here to give you, I mean, this is my experience I am telling you, okay? That is why it's just an opinion. Okay, so then here plastered wall will have, how we do a plastered wall is after the masonry, we do a plastering, then on top of that we have putty sometimes, otherwise we go for primer and this one also, right? Paint also, 2 coats of paint. So that much of extra work need to be done on a masonry. So one can also choose to have this exposed brickwork because of the the advantages that I have shown you here, like no maintenance required, because you don't need to paint, you don't need to do anything once the brickwork is exposed, because brick is a strong material. You don't need to go back and do any maintenance on that. Even you can have exposed rubble work also, but that is an expensive one. Here I still go with the exposed brickwork only. And when we are exposing brickwork, it is carefully designed so that there is no overhangs. Because of that, this algae formation will not be there. If there is the building is properly designed, then there is no chance of getting this algae also. So that is
Madam, are you trying to generalize your argument
No,
that
no,
exposed brickwork is best when you
no,
compared
no.
with?
What I am saying is that in this kind of a situation, what actually happens here is maybe this brickwork is a function which actually here to satisfy the stakeholder. Okay, because of we want it like that. That is why we are going with plastering. It can be also because of our different understanding. Okay, I'm just leaving it there.
It all depends on the requirement of the client. If it is a if it is a coir factory, don't do plastering. If it is a workshop, don't do plastering. If it is a hospital, do plastering. Like that it goes.
No, that is what, sir. Exactly, that is what I am trying to say. This here I am emphasizing on the fact that it is satisfy user function that is there for plastering. And these are buildings which are this building. This is a CDS building which was constructed in 1970. So it is just without plastering. It is there from 1970. It is in It is CDS Thiruvananthapuram.
Yes, we know.
CDS Trivandrum. Do you know this building?
Yes, sir. We have been to there.
Yeah.
Laurie Baker was for this only.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, lifetime he was after this.
Yeah, exactly, sir. So then, my point is that if we identify the satisfy user to that kind of a level, with our understanding also, I mean, with our experience, that should be taken as a lesson for us. So if we are able to do that, then what happens is that, yeah, and this building also you may be knowing, right? This is there in Kochi from 2000 or 2001.
Hotel Sarovaram.
Hotel Sarovaram.
Palarivattam.
No,
it's in
it is Marada. This is in Marada.
Yeah,
Marada, Kochi. Yeah. This is also an exposed. It all shows that we see the proper overhangings and things like that. If you have gone there, you can really understand that there is no algae, nothing. So I'm just giving you a different argument altogether. So if it is a satisfy user, then we can also look at the life cycle costing for that. Okay. So
we can treat it actually. We can treat the bridges to get the avoid the algae. We can chemically treat the bridges to get the algae out.
No, it is not required. That is not required. Because without plastering, nothing will happen onto the brickwork. This is not a treated one. Architect was Jagopal. Yeah, he has done this building in 2001. So they have not used plastering. They have used normal country burn brick, but first quality brick. It's not the fifth quality brick that we normally use for a masonry while when we are doing plastering. Okay, so the bricks will not deteriorate. And also you can see the different, the artificial lake that they have made here. Okay, this is an artificial lake that they have made, which actually collects all the rainwater from the location, and they are using it when it was real good drought in 2008. The hotel was running on to this water, using this water. So this is an artificial lake that they made with all the rainwater. No, that is a different point altogether. So we were talking just about a plastering. Okay. So then This is possible. That is what I wanted to say. Exposed brickwork is possible. And
Excuse me. Yeah. Hi. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please
Hi.
go ahead, Runali.
Yeah. Hi. So, ma'am, I just wanted to, give a situation here that in conventional buildings, mostly we go for the, when the blockwork height exceeds 3 meter or 2.85 meter, we have to provide a mullion or partly in between. So, do you still think that this exposed blockwork condition or scenario, is it still preferable in that condition, cause that it looks a little not very good in elevation if we are exposing it, cause part of it is block work and part of it is RCC. So in that scenario, is it still feasible according to you?
Yeah, Runali, if you can see, this is a slab, no, concrete slab. Does that doing bad there? No, there are many different options how you can do that. You can do concealed concreting also. Here actually they have done concealed concreting. That is what I feel. I can take it from here. Now, actually, our argument is something different. So, if you are able to identify something which will come as a satisfy user function, okay. So then we can actually show. We need to tell them with a life cycle cost analysis also. So the point here is, I mean, this I have taken just for an example. So if you are going with the wire cut bricks, cost per SFT is 185. This is the situation. See, this is how we capture the life cycle costing also. So sorry, here the project is subject, and so the building will be there for 30 years. That is how I have taken. So interest rate I have taken as 8%. So then the brickwork, with the brickwork, this can be the cost, plastering, painting, all, and in a square feet area for exposed brick, I have taken as 200, more than the brickwork for wire cut, because it needs little more of workmanship. So then I have taken, and it is a labor oriented task also, because every level we will look for the every course, brick course, we will look see the level of the building, okay, of the wall. That's why it is also labor oriented. I have taken 200 per square feet. So and we will also do pointing, and some people do varnishing, which is not required. The examples which I have shown is not requiring any varnishing. They have not done any varnishing. It is not required, but some people will do varnishing. So I have taken a varnishing here also. Okay. So with that, if you can see the initial cost, even though we are not going for a plastering, can increase for exposed wall. But after that, the painting, every 5 years, if we are doing the painting, okay, and maybe still this is not required, but still I have taken a varnishing at the 10th year for the exposed wall also. If you see that, the difference in the life cycle costing is per square feet is almost double. So whenever we are making a decision on going ahead with any proposal, we can inform the customer how it has to be and how it will be helping us. So this kind of informed decision they should be making. Here, when they are actually doing it, I mean, for this calculation, I have not taken the cost of surface preparation for the painting. Again, the wire mesh fixing need to be there. Otherwise, after some time, you will see cracks in the plastering. Again, corner bead fixing and things like that. Otherwise, you will see the corner of the plastering chipped off. So such things are not required in exposed wall. So here what, just for one function, if you take it and compare likewise, then in fact, we will be able to show the customer what is the cost impact of a decision that they are making. Okay, that is just with the the customer oriented fast diagram and life cycle cost. I was trying to give this kind of a, so this is the constants that will be there from the economic table that I have taken. Okay, for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20, 25. So those present worth factor will be multiplied with the cost, and we get the cost at that point of time. This is how we do the life cycle cost calculation. Okay, so initial cost, replacement cost with respect to each year converted to the present value. This means 15 rupees after 5 years. If we want to spend 15 rupees after 5 years, that means now the present value of that will be will be 22. Okay.
Madam, while calculating the life cycle cost,
yeah,
you are taking the cost, different cost and adding up. And the present value will be different. Present cost will be one thing, and after 5 years you are doing something for the building, there will be more expense due to inflation.
That is what, see sir, this is what we discussed in the concept, no?
Okay, but this is not clear from the calculations you have shown.
See here, this is how it is. See, for if we have to have 100 rupees today, will be 260 rupees later. That is what the life cycle costing is all about. Yeah, so there is a difference between the present worth and the future cost.
So that while taking the life cycle cost, or while calculating the life cycle cost, you are adopting this sort of thing. Correct?
Yeah, that is how we have this is what I wanted to tell you, sir, that the cost, the 100 rupee that you are having today is not equal to the 100 rupee you are having after many, maybe here after 10 years, value will be different. Yeah, that
it's called the time value for money.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Net present value. Yes. So for any decision that we are taking, if we take that time value also into consideration, maybe at the starting, initially when you are taking, the cost will be the same, but for the same aspect, if you are taking that after 30 years, the cost will be almost double.
Okay. So,
yeah, that is what I just wanted to say with respect to the costing of the project. So the again, such many different things can be considered here also. Now a washable area for a horizontal surface. So all the horizontal surface, like the window sill, the balcony, where the balcony top, when the top of the balcony, all the horizontal surface, if it is a washable surface, then actually we are assuring dependability because we are reducing on the maintenance. We don't need to go back and the cleaning those washable surface will be much easier. But here, if we are giving a washable surface, the maintenance will be very less. Again, if we are going with a hollow brick masonry, we are reducing on the power consumption because maybe the requirement for fan in our building will be very, very less, or the air conditioning will be less because it is more thermal efficient. Again, another aspect is going with the quality tile work. This also will help us to reduce on, it will help us to maintain the facility better. Also a good tile work or good flooring, if it is done properly, it will also satisfy the stakeholder. Better spatial arrangement for the building. It will assure convenience. So, all these will help us to address our functions. I mean, if you understand the functions likewise, we'll be able to better communicate this to our customers, and we'll be able to give them a better facility when we are doing it. To inform the customer, we can use customer-oriented functions, and their requests we can transform to functions, and these two club together. We can show the resources required, maybe with respect to the cost, time, material, or space for their requirements. So that is what, and here the advantages of this is what happened to me when I did this is my first building that I did after my engineering. It was in Kochi, and what happened was we proposed this kind of improvements to the customer. With this, at that time in 90s, initial investment that the client, I mean, they went to a different, I mean, with the normal construction, and what he understood is that the estimated value at that time was 5 lakh for a normal customer, for a normal building, which was two-storied building. Then we did these different approaches for the building, and he saved money because that kind of a investment, I mean, the investment for the building was only 2 lakhs. So he saved 3 lakhs at that time. Okay. Then I mean, I'm talking about a time when the cost of cement was in 1995, like that. Now, so then that is why the cost is so less. At that time, it was only 2 lakhs for that two-storied building. Then he saved money. He invested in shares, and yeah. So that actually improved his lifestyle. And also that helped, I mean, there was a long lasting relationship with the customer because of a better facility that he had. So then my thoughts are, cost is much more than performing the arithmetic of length into breadth into height into rate. So that this is just a collection of data. And after this data collection, we should be working on that data along with the design with our technical inputs. Then only we'll be able to give good value to whatever we are doing, whatever buildings that we are making, whatever designs that we are doing, or whatever construction that we are involved. So that is our responsibility. And as engineers, we are called to develop and practice our philosophy while constructing structures for our clients. And that will add value to our industry, value to our Mother Earth. So, thank you all.
About life cycle cost, you mentioned that it is the ownership cost of ownership for a period. A period means it is limited to some period.
Yeah.
So beyond that period also the building or the project will exist and perform. So can that be a shortfall of your estimation?
After that, we can take it for a salvage. I mean, there will be a resale value if after 30 years.
Salvage is different. Salvage is when you demolish and take something.
Sorry, resale value. Sorry,
resale value. Then you demolish and you are going to get some fans. You are going to get some bricks. You are going to get steel.
No. Here, after 3 years, 30 years, you can, if you are selling it, there is a resale value. But I have not taken both, for both I have not taken that because I just took the building as a, maybe it is a 2-story building, it will be there for 20, 25, 30 years. After that, mostly we can see that the people are demolishing it. No, that is why I took it maximum for 30 years. I know that people are designing it much more than that, but
so you are, so suppose you are assuming that the life of the building with all perfection and satisfaction of the owner is only for 30 years. And after 30 years, anyway, it has to be demolished by him or by someone else. Then there will be a salvage value. So you are going to take that salvage also into account of your life cycle cost?
Yeah, that will be there as a negative value because we are getting it back. Everything else is an expenditure. So that is the cost of ownership. Mostly it is all expense. And here the salvage will be something that we are getting back. And so that will be a negative value.
So you have to spread the life of the building into a graph type thing, and you have to start one day, then after 5 years some replastering is required. So you have to find out the cost of that kind of replastering. Like that you have to add up and finally you are ending up with the life cycle cost, correct?
No, see, I have taken the plastering itself as 30 years. I have not taken the plastering. Need to be redone after 30 years. I have given all the advantages to the plastering. Okay, I have still. We can see that the life cycle cost when you are doing a plastering is this, and so actually if it is required, I mean in different I'm not saying that all the situation it is not
I'm just asking about the ways and means by which you are arriving at the life cycle cost. Suppose a water tank is put in the 3rd floor of a building, you are taking the estimate, then definitely it may require some replastering after 15 years. So you cannot say that plastering is not required and you are not taking the plastering in your case of 30 years. It all depends on the which project, etc. You have to consider. But in general, I am saying that if plastering is required in a project where you are going to take the life cycle cost, then you have to add that also into your life cycle cost, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
then the difference will be much more.
Yes. Otherwise, we will be under a different impression of life cycle cost. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, so then for the replacement, there will be a kind of a replacement for the plastering. That is what you're mentioning. And yeah, then it will be a little more expensive.
Yes, yes, expensive or not
As
expensive. I am
such, it is expensive. Yeah.
okay, but expense is not a
Those are the
criteria.
criteria.
It all depends on the client, and
Yeah,
if the
okay.
client,
Those are the critical values there.
we cannot hold on the cost alone. If the client come forward and say, I have to have a very perfect RCC water tank above my building, which should not leak into the slab and come into the floor like that, then definitely you have to take that into account and build a house for him and take the life cycle cost. Correct?
Yeah. If we have to protect the arrest water leakage from the RC, then we'll do a waterproofing and arrest leakage. Plastering will not help us to arrest leakage. Your observation is correct. Your observation is
I'm not
correct.
gone into the technicality of that aspect, but I want to know whether you are adding that factor also into your cost calculation. That is my motto of asking this question, not about the other technological aspects.
No, here actually I have not taken it into account because I just wanted to show that both are perfectly working system. So, but still, both in the sense exposed this one, and if we are plastering, both are going for 30 years. So in that case, we also need to be informed that with the how the maintenance cost is coming into account and how it is affecting the structure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Or it is affecting the performance, not the performance, the cost for the project.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, in fact, this customer-oriented fast diagram and making it into understanding it for the budgeting actually help us to communicate to the designers and estimation when that is how it has helped us in suggesting alternative to them also. And many a times we also see that sometimes one aspect is if if you do a spider graph with that, we will be able to really direct the decision makers to helping them to take informed decisions. So this is what we are doing, and this is affecting the, or this is helping the project in what kind of way. So maybe it is to assure dependability for the customers. Sometimes it is convenience. So we need to make sure that which is more important in this aspect in a given situation. I think sir was also talking about different point of view, no? Understanding the project from many different point of view. Yeah, that is what my conclusion also. It's costing is much more than putting it as length into breadth into height. Our buildings are much more than that. So how those informations are coming, I mean, how those functions are communicating to us and how those communications to decision making, that is what we need to look at.
So we have, we have been discussing on various aspects of the value enhancing of a project. It's basically, if my understanding is right, it's basically emphasizing on the value of a particular work rather than getting into the costing part of it. Am I right, Anita ma'am?
Yes.
Basically, what we look into in a project is, as you have mentioned, it's the length, breadth, and height. So every items are calculated, every items are evaluated based on these three dimensions or a particular equation, and we arrive on a particular rate. And then we conclude on the cost of the project. Let's say, for example, 1 crore or 2 crore or 100 crore or 5,000 crore or whatever the cost is. That is the cost. But when you look into the life cycle cost or the functionality or the in a long run, things might change. Things might change in a different direction. Probably the money that we spend here, if we today, the money that we spend today might sound a little higher, but in a longer run, that works out to be cheaper, right, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes, good information and a good presentation. Thank you so much. It was so insightful. Got a lot of information. Me being a project manager for the past 20 years, I was completely ignorant about many things that you have mentioned here. Appreciated, well appreciated, and that gives me the energy to learn more. So I'm waiting for more and more sessions from your end, and also from Kashi sir's some other presentations. I would be interested to join that as well, and probably most of them, I believe, would be interested in that. Thank you so much to all the participants, Kashi sir, Engineer Anita Lukose, and all those who have been very attentive here, and those who have been silent also. There are few questions, but probably that would have been better if they had asked that. And Mr. Cherian Worki has conveyed his regards to you, ma'am. His dad and you were classmates, it seems. CVC.
Yes. Yes.
He had asked me to convey his regards to you. He left due to some meetings that he has scheduled. All right, thank you so much, and thank you. I just wanted to mention, thank you, Shivateja, for adding me to your LinkedIn friends group. Thank you so much, and please keep following us. Follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook for more updation on the upcoming programs. Thank you so much. Good night. Good night to all. Good day, sir.